Welcome to Code One, and in this video we are going to continue the Selenium WebDriver tutorial series, and with topics we are going to cover some interview questions also that is really important for the interview if you are preparing for interview as an experienced candidate or a fresher candidate. Okay, so today's topic is handle dropdowns in Selenium. So how during the automation testing, how can we handle the dropdowns? Okay, for that I'm using this dummy URL, and you can also use for the testing, and it's available into the documents as well. Added here, this is my testing URL. So what kind of dropdowns we are going to handle in this session? So if you see here, this is a single value, like we can select the single value, and here also we can select the single value. This is the old style that is using select tag, and I will explain this thing in a detail. And here we can select the standard multi-select. I can select the multiple. Okay, from here also, from this drop down, I can select the multiples. So we are going to see some example in this. Okay, let's back to the topic and let's understand the topic that we are going to cover. We are going to cover like basic definition and detail of the drop downs in Selenium, and different options or operations that we can perform using options into the drop down with different, like let's say selecting option from a drop down of a single option. Here handling multiple select drop down. Here how can we get all the options and how can we get the selected option. And after that we'll do some exercise or some interview questions. So basic questions, around 13 questions are there that we are going to cover in this session. Okay, this is different levels of questions. So advanced level also over there for experienced candidate. Okay, so let's start quickly. So what is how can we handle drop down in Selenium? So for a drop down, if you see the backend code for any drop down, you will be see some kind of select keyword. Okay, so similarly we have a select class in a Selenium. Okay, you can see this drop down is coming from this select. Okay, there can be drop down that doesn't have select. I will show you how can you handle those element as well. But here when you see, this is a select tag, and under this select tag we have options, right? So we are going to use a select class. Just remember, we have a select element here, and we are going to use the same select class in Selenium to handle the drop downs. Okay, so select class in Selenium that is used to interact with drop downs select element. This class is provided by this package. It's available into UI select package in your Selenium support. So let's say if I move to my Eclipse and I'm trying to create an object of a select class, then you can see it's coming from org OpenQS Selenium support UI. Okay, and I can name it as a option and equals to new select. Okay, here I need to pass a bev element for this select. So let's say first I need to create the element, and then I can pass the select like I can pass the element here. I need to pass the element that I want to select. Okay, I will show you in a real-time example in a while when you perform some operation. Okay, now what are the common operations that we can perform with select class in Selenium? First thing, selecting an option from a drop down. So let's do this. Let's say from this drop down, if you can see, this is my select drop down, and let's say for example I want to select some value, some value from this. So what I do, I just navigate to the select element. Here you can see it's available with the ID. Okay, so I can directly use this ID. I'm just copying this ID. This is unique one. So let's create a XPath and call it. Okay, so I'm creating a bev element here, bev element, and I can say select element. Select my element equals to driver dot find by element y dot id. Here I'm going to pass my id. and now I have this element. In my select class object, I can pass this select element as a parameter, right? Now I want to select an option, so I have a multiple way to select an option. Let's say if I go option dot select, okay, I have an option to select by index, select by value, select by visible text. Okay, we don't have option for id or name, just remember this is a tricky one. And we have an option like index, value, and visible text. Index means, let's say in our options we have a 10 element or 10 different elements, so it will index them by 1 2 3 0 1 2 3 4 5 something. And by value means whatever the value you can see here, this, let's say in this case if you want to select a value, the value will be 1. So let's take an example of this only. So select value, option dot select by value. Okay, I'm going to pass the value as a 1 and see what happen over there. What will be the like it will select blue here. Okay, so let's run the script and check is it working fine. It's opening the browser, navigating to the URL, and let's just scroll down and check in some time will it change to blue. The execution is still happening. Yeah, you can see now it's automatically changes the drop down value and change and put it the value over there. Okay, so in this way you can select it by value. Another option, select by visible text. So into options we have another option, select by visible text. This means whatever the text visible to UI, okay, visible to user. So let's say if I inspect element here, this the option we can see this is the visible thing. Okay, so I'm copy the green one and I'm gonna just copy the green here, and let's run this time. This time it should select green. Okay, us going to open the browser, loading the URL. The URL is loading quick slow, so you have to wait for a while. And this time I think it should select green. Okay, it's selecting green now. Here you can see it's selecting green only. So in this way you can select a single drop down value. Okay, so I'm commenting this code as a select single option using select. Okay, now let's say if I move over there, so we have done with this example. Okay, and now let's see how can we handle multiple options. So similarly in this page we have an option to select multiple options, like we have an option here to select the cars. Okay, so for that what I need to do, again I have to go there and find the select. Okay, you can see this time the id is car for this select this select element. So let's create quickly a new comment and select multiple options using select. Right now what I need to do, I need to create a multiple I need to find the element first. So element, and this element will be multi select element, and do the same thing, driver dot find by element, and by id we are calling this time, and we are passing a car over there, cars. Right now I have to check. If you notice here in this select we have an attribute called multiple. So this multiple attribute differentiate this select is a multiple or not. But in automation how we can check this is a multiple select or not. So for that we have here is multiple method. Right, So let's proceed and create again create an object of select class. Every time you need to create an object select class where you passing a new select, right? So let's say multi, we can name it as a multi option, and we can say new select, and here I'm passing multi select element. Right now I'm gonna check if multi select is multiple. Then what I need to do, I need to select in that case I need to select these elements, this thing. Okay, so how can I do that? For that again I have an option to select by value, by visible. If I go here and check these options, multi options dot select by index, value and visible text. Okay, so how can I do that? Let's select first by index. So by index, here index 0 means it should be select as a Volvo. Okay, or index 1, I guess. Let's keep it a 1. And next we have a multi option dot select by value. So we need to pass the value over here, and for say I'm gonna copy the value as a opel. You can see value means we need to pass value of this attribute. Okay, this value of this value attribute. So I'm going to copy this opel, and next option we have here as a multi option dot select by visible text. So this time we have a Audi, let's say Audi. So now it will select three things: Opel, Audi and the index 1. Let's quickly run this and see is multi select is working. The page is loading, and if you go down we'll see changes here on this screen. For single select it should be should select green, and for multiple it should be select 3 cars. Okay, so you can see it's automatically selected 3 cars. The index will start from 0. So we have selected index 1, so it's selected as a B. Okay, and then Opel and then Audi. Yeah, it's working. So we have done with the second operation as well. Now what is the third operation we have? So we have a third operation to getting all the options from the drop down. So it's really easy. What we can say, we can comment it, select all the options, right? But it's an important question in interview, so just be focused. How can we get all the values? All the values means all the options available into this. So I'm going to select this option. I'm going to use this option to get the value. It means we are going to get the value of these green, red, blue, all these value. We're going to get these values, right? So in this option, and on this select, what I can do, options dot get all selected options. Not all selected option, get option should be there. Okay, get option. And if you notice here, it will return like a list of web elements. So I can store it into list, and I can create a list type will be web element, and this will be all options, right? I can name it as a all options. Now how I will render the data from this list? So for that, this is the type of web element I have to we have to get text from it. So for that I can render the value from list using for each loop and web element, or we can say the option, the single option. So let's print this out, and we can say dot get text. So what we are doing here, We are iterating each and every element and then calling a get text method and looping the complete list and printing the value. Okay, so let's run this and check is all the values are printing on a console. So I'm just quickly running it. I'm closing my previous windows. So the page is loading. So first it will select green, then select all the options, and then it will print the value, all the options available for this old style select menu. Okay, so we have to wait for a while. Okay, it's done. The execution is done. Now let's see the console. Okay, in the console you can see all the values are available over there. So we have done with the third operation as well. Now we have a fourth operation, getting the selected value. It means, let's say I want to get this purple as a selected value, right? Or let's say getting multiple selected value. Let's say here we have this thing selected and I want to read only selected value. Okay, so in that case what I can do, we have a method like get, you can say get select single selected value. Okay, single selected option we can keep, it will be better. So how can you do that? Let's say we have again, we are going to use this option for this, and here we have an option. So I'm going to call option dot get selected, get first selected option. Okay, we have a one method that will return get first selected option. Okay, and this will be again a bev element. So let's just store it in a variable bev element. Okay, so let's say I'm going to say first select, and this is a type of bev element, so we have to render the value from it. So we can say sys out to print it, and we can say first select dot get text to read the text. Right, let's run it, and let's print it quickly because our loading time is taking time, the page loading is taking time. So I'm perform another operation also in this, and then we'll execute it. So this will be my single selected option, and here if you notice we are selecting these multiple values, so we want to read these values. Okay, so what I do for that, I can use this multi option. Okay, and multi option dot get all selected option, and if you notice it will return again a list of bev elements. So I can say list of bev element and I say multiple selected options, right? And now in the same process we can put a for each loop over there, and we can render the data and value. So for that I'm going to create a loop, and again we have this bev element that contains our value. So I can do sys out and bev element dot get text, right? So in this way, and let's comment it out like single multiple selected value, so we can differentiate it into console, right? So this is a single selected option. Like how can you get the single selected option from the drop down, and here how can you read the multiple selected option from drop down, right? So the code is formatted properly. Now let's run it. I'm going to close the previous one. So the browser is loading. Let me maximize this. Loading might take time. Meanwhile, if you're liking the video and need more video, please subscribe for one, and so we can get motivation to record more videos, create more tutorials. And if you have any queries, you can comment also, or we'll try to answer them. So if you see here, it's selected green and multiple selected there, single selected there, but our target was to read this. Okay, so if you see here in the console, single selected was green and multiple selected was SAAB, Apple and Audi. So in this way, you can perform different operations with a drop down. But whatever the operation we have seen here, this contain the select tag. But if you notice, we have other tag here, this one. This doesn't have any select tag. So in this case, how will you handle drop down? These are the bootstrap, like these drop downs are coming from the bootstrap library, while the developers are using bootstrap to implement them. In that case, how we can handle drop downs? So this can be a tricky one interview, tricky one, like tricky interview question, and you can handle that as well. And that is our final operation, handling drop downs without select tag. Okay, this drop down doesn't have any select tag. So how can you handle this? So first thing, on a real time as a user, what you do, you just go to the URL, click on this drop down and select a value. The same thing we're going to perform from the automation, and this time we'll not use a select class. So first I need to get the XPath of this element. Okay, so I just navigate to this, and let's say we have this. This is the selected value. Let's say by default it will display selected, right? By default it will display select option. So I go there and check, these are the selected option. And now if I search, now I've already created XPath over there. Let me check if it is available. No, sorry, it's not there. So let's quickly create. First we have to find the element here and check if I found any unique character over there. Okay, so we have it closed, this ID. Actually we have ads over there. Okay, we have one ID here, you can see with OTP group, so we can use this one. So we can create a XPath as well. So let's say div and @ID equals to this. Okay, and then what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a XPath. What we are doing here, select drop down value without select tag. Okay, this can be an important interview question. So how can you handle this? First create the element. Okay, first create an element. So I'm going to create element driver dot find by element, and I'm using XPath, so create by dot XPath and copy that XPath and then perform a click operation as a real-time user we do, right? The next thing, after click on this, I have to click on this group one, let's say. So let's copy this and create another path, and XPath we can create XPath like this, div @contains what is contains text, and what are the text, and this is the text. do we have? Are we doing not at the rate? Okay, yeah, that's correct now. So we will get this. So now the next step will be driver dot find element by dot xpath, and again I pass this xpath and perform click operation. So what this will do, this will select the value from that, and let's do it quickly. Let's run it and do and check what is the output. It's loading. Meanwhile, I am updating this into the document. So if you also need this document, you can comment me, I will share it with you. So okay, in this way you can do that. So it's loading, I guess. Yeah, it's loading, and you can see it's selected group 1 option 1 and green, and selected multiple here, also printing all the things like so. Till now what you have seen, how can you perform multiple operations, how can you select multiple values, how can you select all the options, what are the different options. So different options, like we can read the data by value, by visible text, or by index. Okay, 3 things are there. Another options we have, similarly as we have done select, we can also do the deselect. Okay, I will create a separate video for that, and I will show you how can you deselect the values from there. And so in this we are going to focus only select. Okay, also we can read the value that we have already seen. We can read the single selected value, we can also read the multiple selected value. Now let's focus some interview questions that you might face during your interview related to the Selenium WebDriver and Dropdown. So what are the basic questions? What is the select class in Selenium? So you already know the select class is a Selenium is used to handle the dropdown. Okay, select is an element. It provides methods like select by text, select by index, select by value to interact with dropdown options. So we have recently seen all the examples. My next question is, how do you select an option from dropdown in Selenium? So there are 3 ways to select an option from dropdown. Okay, so first one, by visible text, by index, by value. So this is the important one, because don't be confused, there is a no ID, no name. Interviewer sometime candidate answers like we can select value by ID or name or something, but it's not true. We can select by visible text, index, or value. How do you handle, the next question is, how do you handle multi-select dropdowns that we have seen already? Okay, we have a method is multiple that help us to check this particular element or select element is a multiple or not, and then we can perform the operations. Okay, and then okay, how do you get all the options from dropdown? So for that we have a method get options. We have recently seen the example. So we have a get option method over there that will help us to retrieve all the available options in the dropdown. Let's see some advanced questions. So question number 5th is, how do you get selected option from dropdown? So how can we get? We have recently seen we are going to use the get first selected option. Get, this is the method. The method name is get first selected option. As the name suggests, this will help us to read the first selected option in the dropdown. Okay, how do you handle dropdown without a select tag? By clicking. We have recently seen, if you see this two line of a statement, we are just going to click on those xpath or those element. So the answer is, if your dropdown is not a select element, use click and xpath css to select manually. So what we do, we just create xpath and we are going to perform the click operation. Next thing, the next question is, how do you handle dynamic dropdown? So let's say in case the dropdown is taking time and the dropdown doesn't have, like, it's a dynamic and taking time, so we can use a wait. Okay, to perform any such loading issue, you have to answer for any element, not for the dropdown, can be for iframe also. The explicit wait is an important one thing. This is an important thing. If you want to learn about the explicit wait, you can just watch the video over the Code 1 channel. It's available. We have recently uploaded it. Okay, or you can comment us, we'll share the link. Okay, the next and important point, what is the difference between select by visible text and select by value? Difference I've already seen. Select by value means, let's say where it is. we have this one. Select by value means we are reading this, we are verifying by this value, we are getting options by this value, the value of the value attribute. And visible text means the text that is visible for the on the UI, on the web page, the user can see it. Okay, so you can read this document. Selected by value as zeroth position, and all that details are there. Some basic difference are there. How do you verify dropdowns support multiple selections? Okay, so how we are doing that? We are checking is multiple method. We have a is multiple method that's going to check first is dropdown is a multi select or not, is a single select or multi select. Okay, and how do you handle bootstrap? Again, this is a tricky question. They can ask you a question in a different way, so the question will be same. Like how can you select a bootstrap drop down, or they can say the drop down that doesn't have a select tag. Okay, so you should be aware without select tag there will be a bootstrap or some kind of library that they are using. Okay, it can be some other as well. Okay, so to answer this, we have to just we have to just get the element and we can click on that and drop down and then click on the options as well. What are the common issues faced handling drop down in the Selenium? So the same thing, drop down not found, some element not found, no such element, and we can say drop down is not clickable sometimes. So we can use JavaScript executor, or we can use action class as well. We can put wait over there, and these are the common things that you can answer in every question while you face this kind of situation based question, like the what personally you're facing while you're working in automation. So you can just answer a real question, real thing that you are facing. How do you handle drop down inside an iframe? Recently, we have seen a tutorial on an iframe. You can just go to the Code One channel and check the recently dedicated video for the iframe. In the iframe, we are using switch. So let's say if any drop down is available into the iframe, in that case, first we have to switch our driver to that iframe, and then we are going to handle the drop down, right? So you can comment me if you doesn't find the video on iframe, then I will share the video for that, so you will be easily understand what is the iframe and what is the switch to that I'm talking about. The next and the last question, can you select multiple option using select by visible text in a single selected drop down? This is a tricky one. In a single select drop down, we can't select multiple. Okay, let's say we have a method is multiple, that method is returning false, and then we are trying to select the multiple, then in that case it's not possible. Okay, so for a single selected drop down, we can select only single option at a time. Okay, so this all about the drop downs in the Selenium and the select class, and this is an important topic for interview purpose. If you are an experienced candidate or a fresher candidate, it doesn't matter. It's a basic thing. While you like every web page or every website or business need drop downs, and you should know, as being an automation engineer, you should know how to handle those drop down. So if you like the video, please subscribe the Code One for more video related to the automation testing. And we are planning the video for different technology as well. Like currently we are focusing on the Java, and then we move to C# as well. So if you are automation lover, just be in a touch with Code One. Thank you.